with little to nothing, or have any personal experience with that?
I'd say, for me at least, what I've learned over the years is to start with a concept that you can, like if you're talking music videos, I guess, start with a concept that you can execute on a budget. Don't try something that needs like 50 grand when you only have 5, because you can do it, and you can like DIY your way into it if you have that much ambition and friends and people doing you favors and stuff. But like, I think what I learned over the years of like trying to do exactly that, having huge concepts and like, okay, we're gonna make the next OK Go video, and you got like $5 in your pocket, is it really helps to find a really engaging, good concept that you can do on your budget, where the end result will look good, as opposed to like it kind of looking cheap and looking unprofessional because you sought out to do something too big on your budget.
Yeah, another thing is if you have a laptop, obviously it makes a big difference. The computer, MacBooks come with iMovie, so that's a good thing. Just start just playing around with iMovie. That's the first thing I did, and there's tutorials online how to do so many things. Like if you want to get involved in animation, there's little programs out there you can download and try out and look up tutorials. I look up tutorials all the time. That's my go-to.
Yeah, actually, I used to podcast. I forgot to mention that earlier. But when I was podcasting, people opted into the stuff that I was doing. And one of the cool things is that you can get experience by just practice, just on your own channel. I think that alone, like whether it's YouTube, whether it's podcast, whether you just do 60-second videos on Instagram, because this is an Instagram city, you can do that just to get started. There are free programs that can, like you said, there's iMovie on a Mac. I don't know what most people are using, PCs or Macs in this room. Macs.
If you're a Mac user, put up your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So either way, it doesn't matter. Like there's tools like what is it called? Adobe Premiere, which if you have a project and you can rent Premiere every month or just for that project. So that's something you can do. There's also another app that you could use to edit as well. There's a few others that you could use that are free. That'll let you just edit things to the web.
So talking about, like, there are programs out there and stuff, but what do you guys use to film something like that? Like, is it just phone, or like, do you know of, and is there any equipment that you've used that is actually affordable that artists could get for themselves?
Actually, I teach a class on how to make movies with your iPhone. And iPhones are definitely, the quality of the phone, what you can do up to 2K, and 4K actually. And basically the quality in that is good enough. I mean, it's a matter of just having good quality light. Even if you don't do that, you can just use a still and upload your video with the music. I mean, that's a simple thing to do, direct to YouTube or anywhere else. So that's something that you can do, like even from your laptop. Your laptop has a screen. You can sit there, and I've seen people perform and actually be streaming from their laptop. So, I mean, that's another way that you can do it.
Yeah, like, I guess depending on, there's a couple ways that you could use variety of ways of, I guess, filming. Like, obviously the iPhone is the most accessible, and it's pretty amazing what you can do with it, like you said. And you can get these like $200 gimbals that make it incredibly smooth now. What
is that?
So it's like it makes it very smooth. I think using, like, I don't know exactly the same thing that the Segway uses. I think like to make sure you don't fall down. I don't know how the technology works.
Balances it so that it doesn't get shaky.
Yeah, so that's, if you're going to go with an iPhone, that's like an easy first entry step. And then the other thing I would say that I've always tried is, if you do have a budget for something, a director of photography is the first thing that I spend the budget on, because that's the thing that will, I think, get the most professional look or the most sort of bang for your buck. And then you probably have a concept for your music video. You probably have somewhat of an idea of how to direct something or what you want, but maybe don't have the equipment or whatever. So that would be my recommendation, is spend your first amount of money on a DOP.
Yeah, depending on how elaborate you want to go. If I'm filming something and it requires like nice lighting and everything, I hire out if I have the budget. And if I'm doing something myself, lots of times I'll go with like a really kind of gritty look, because I can't afford the proper equipment to get the nice polished lighting and everything. So I've shot on Super 8 film, and kind of whatever you shoot is going to look gritty and kind of distorted and dirty anyways. So I'm not so worried about having a professional lighting guy. You can add filters and layer different Super 8 stuff over top of other B-roll you might have to go along with that music video. Yeah, just keeping things gritty if you don't have that budget. Just keeping that rock and roll vibe.
And I'll add something else to that, because have you guys been to the Winnipeg? Have you guys been to the Winnipeg Film Group, or do you guys know where it is? It's where the Cinematheque is. So I'm the production center director there, and basically I'll tell you there are a lot of filmmakers who need musicians. Period. And we could talk about stuff afterwards, but basically there are a lot of filmmakers who basically want to shoot videos for musicians, and sometimes the exchange is like, okay, you don't have to pay me, but maybe you can give me some music for my film. I mean, that's a hell of an exchange, and it's something that a lot of people are willing to do. And there's a lot of really quality filmmakers, and a lot of the films go to they go to film festivals all over the world. So I mean, imagine having your music in a film festival in TIFF or somewhere. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
That is sweet. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Anders, you have experience, like you've made sort of like animated lyric videos and stuff. Was that just using one of those programs that you talked about and just kind of playing around with it?
Yeah, I've done various animations with, whether it's stop motion, vector graphics. Going back to the Super 8 camera, there's a stop motion kind of, you can take one frame at a time, but there's also apps you can get on your phone for free, I'm pretty sure. There's one called iMotion, and I've done like whole music videos in my kitchen just on this app, and just doing lyric videos, stop motion, doing little like cutouts and bring the markers out and everything, and then layering them on Final Cut afterwards. And then there's also Adobe After Effects, which is a little more, I don't know how expensive it is now, but it's a little more.
It's monthly.
It's monthly now. Okay, I have an really old version.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a little more elaborate, but you can learn it, like definitely using tutorials. I use tutorials all the time, and I did a full music video for Attica. It's all bright colored vector animation, and then I used that.
Very cool. How long does it normally take you to do a video? Like
that Attica video, I worked on it for a month, but it was doing graphics I've never done before. So lots of that was learning and throwing away stuff. If I had to do it again now, it would be a lot quicker.
Wow, that's a long time. And then I wanted to ask you, Matt. Royal Canoe has some really awesome concepts for videos.
Oh, thank you.
And is that like? How do you guys, I don't know if you can even put this into words, but like, how do you brainstorm these things, and how do you come up with these ideas, and how do you get everyone excited and involved?
Well, normally it's just my own like blind optimism and raising my voice when I talk about the idea to try and, get the rest of my band. But my band is very excitable. I can be like, guys, how about this? Like the other day I drew I drew a still of something that I want just for this 3 seconds of a string part that's in a song that's not out yet, and I like texted Matt, and I was like, look at this is gonna be something. And like, I don't know, you just I guess if you're excited about it, you can get other people excited about it. And as far as our concepts, they've come from a bunch of collaboration, really. Like the band has always been cool.
Nothing happened.
The band's always been pretty involved, but sometimes like we'll get a music video idea pitched to us from a director, and then we'll just tweak it from there. And sometimes, like the one we did for Walk Out on the Water was pretty much all an idea that me and Matt came up with and storyboarded, and then we pitched that to a director. It was like, what do you think of this? And then he was like, yeah, this is cool. And what do you think of, doing it like this? And then it just sort of went back and forth on, how things do on email and stuff with pictures and whatever. And then eventually you're there on set and you got to make it happen in a really short amount of time. And it's not going to look how it looks in your head. That's just something that I have had to get over. But yeah.
That's probably some good advice there. So I want to go back to you now, Ben, because you were talking about people in the film industry that they want to take on these projects, and Matt was saying that's a great thing to put your money into. So how can artists access the film world, and how can they meet these people and know who's going to take on the project and actually like it?
Sure. No, that's cool. Last year, I've been working here for about 4 years now, and one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of filmmakers, like in the basic classes, and just filmmakers come in and ask, like, hey, can I just pull that music from online? And it's like, yeah, you can. It's free. Well, when it's a royalty-free music, I'm like, yeah, sure, you could do that. But really, there's so much talent here in the city, and I'm not even kidding, because some of my favorite bands are actually here. And I'm just like, there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people who want to work with you guys. So one of the things that I started doing was last year, I connected with this cat named Gillette Carroll. And we've been partnering together, trying to get filmmakers and musicians together. So we have an event called the 48-Hour Film Contest. And before we had the 48, we had a meet and greet, musician meet and greet with the film group. We're doing that again, and so this is like a good time that we're doing this now. We're going to probably have another one next month, our first or our second one ever next month. Right before the actual we do the announcement for the 48. And part of that is I'm trying to bring musicians to the table, because I think a lot of musicians, solo or groups, might just stick to their own group. Just like filmmakers, they kind of stick to their own group, and they don't necessarily go out. They might have bands that they like, and they're all like, yeah, I like that, but they don't necessarily go out and ask them for music. It's kind of weird. I guess people just don't know that it's okay to do that. So we are making an effort at the film group to bridge the relationship between musicians and filmmakers and art. We did a thing with spoken word artists, and so now we're bridged in with the spoken word community. There's all these different groups that we believe that they're just a healthy and normal mix. And really, if you know anything about filmmaking, one of the big things that I always say this because I'm an editor, I always say that music is 50% or more of the film. It sets the tone, the mood, and the vibe. And a lot of filmmakers don't necessarily, I'm not saying all of them don't get that, but I think that many of them don't get that. And maybe a lot of musicians don't even know that. But it's a huge deal, and I'm very passionate about music. And I'm really big on the fact that you guys and us, the filmmakers, need to bridge. And, so anything I can do, like, I'm a big connector, and I'm all about that. So anybody that's here today or there, reach out to me at ben@winnipegfilmgroup.com.
Cool. And can you let me know when that's happening?
Yeah, definitely.
And then maybe when we're done here, I can put like a little email sign-up thing, so I can email you all directly when that's happening. And for anyone who's joining us online, you can email info@manitobamusic.com and say that you would like information about this event that Ben was talking about that connects filmmakers and musicians. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
That I hope that I can go and I won't be on the road.
Could I ask?
Yeah, you can.
Also, part of it was because we were trying to get people to do for the 48-hour film contest where you make a film in 48 hours. And the idea was to get musicians to score the music rather than just have a ready-made piece, score the music to the film, which is a unique thing for a 48-hour film contest kind of thing. So, again, some of these films are actually going to film festivals. And last year, two of the filmmakers, their films played at on the beach in front of 1,000 people. So, and those were local musicians that were in those films, which is great. So
before we get away from the scoring for film thing, you've done that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in that as a musician? And also, you can maybe address this as well. I feel like when people hear of scoring, they think of classical. Is it only that, or is there a need for other?
Well, I've been doing scoring sort of as at least 50% of my income for the last 2.5 years, and I can score kind of for classical. I couldn't conduct a whole symphony. I couldn't, I couldn't do the sorts of things that would get me the job of actually scoring a Hollywood movie. Yet I want to, but no is the short answer. You don't need to know how to do that. If you have a MIDI keyboard and a string patch, you can play 4 notes and there's a string quartet. And if you want that to sound better, you can hire 4 symphony players for $100 an hour and get them to play it. And so that's exactly what I've done. And it's the barriers to entry are not huge when you already know about music. It's more about, like you were saying, just connecting with the right people that need it. And that luckily for me, when I kind of got more of a break that's got me more work since, was a director named Tyson Caron, that he did a movie that had a couple $1 million budget, and the producers were like, well, let's go to Toronto, let's go to whatever for the LA for the scoring. And he was like, no, this film's about Winnipeg, I want it to be somebody from Winnipeg. And so yeah, the more filmmakers are willing to do that, and the more, like you said, we all bridge together, I think the easier it is for everyone. And yeah, and you can there's amazing soundtracks. Listen to I don't know if you guys seen the series Dark, which is this amazing German series on Netflix, but it's almost all synthesizer, and all of the Stranger Things stuff. Obviously, everyone's pumped on, and so yeah, I think that the days of the Danny Elfman score are, they're still awesome, but you don't need that.
Awesome. And do any of you guys have any syncs going on right now, with already made music that has been included in film or TV or video games?
Really?
I've had the band's had some things in TV and stuff, and yeah. So you want me to speak about how you go about getting that, or?
Yeah, I guess just very briefly, because we do sometimes have workshops on the whole thing, but just sort of explaining maybe the revenue and fan engagement that can come from that.
Yeah. Well, we've never had anything huge. We haven't had the iPod commercial or anything, but we've gotten a couple TV shows in Canada or whatever. And yeah, it is incredible the exposure that you get just from we had a song before the credits and some sequence of something I actually watched for the first time a couple days ago. Somebody tweeted about it, but yeah, it's one of the last places where there's still money left in music. And the easiest way to go about getting your stuff in there is getting a publisher on board that wants to publish you, because they have the connections with the music supervisors. It's a little less common for a completely independent artist without a publisher to get syncs, as many syncs. We've had 3 publishers and only ever gotten 3 in our life. So, but yeah, it is. Obviously, look at Feist before and after the iPod commercial, and then you know what it can do. So,
cool. So since we're talking about, we've kind of gone through music videos. We all know that that's a thing, and there's so many different ways to do that. And then we know about film, and we know about TV. What are some other ways that artists can just put up creative video content? Because now the world is just so visual that it's even on Instagram, people are bored of photos. So can you just speak on all the different types of content they could be.
I know lots of bands are doing the lyric videos these days. Some of them are fairly elaborate, and then some of them are super simple. Like I know there's a Vampire Weekend one where it's just a car burning in slow motion, and then they have the lyrics underneath. So if you can think of these simple concepts, it can be very inexpensive, and it can still be artistic. That's when I use lots of animation for lyric videos. That's when I've used stop motion again. Just writing the lyrics out with a marker, and then taking a frame of every letter, and then it appears on the paper, and then you can crumple it up, and then maybe you scribble on it. So there's lyric videos, and lots of people are putting out artwork for every song. So with my band Attica Riots, we put out single artwork for every song. So that's another easy way to just get your song out there on YouTube is putting the artwork up, and then maybe the colors flash to the beat, or maybe part of the artwork is kind of bouncing around. Simple ideas like that can be inexpensive.
I mean, like I was saying earlier, Instagram you can put up things for 60 seconds. I come from an advertising background, so the idea of catching somebody's attention and keeping it for a short amount of time, because the attention spans aren't great sometimes. You can tell a story in 45 seconds, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. The idea is I remember one time I was working on a personal piece. It was raining, and I was in Paris, and I remember the mood of the rain was reflecting what I was hearing in music, and I just captured the rain in different segments, coming out of pipes or on the street, and just things like that, and with the music, and that was it. And people can again with film and all just visual content, you want to set a tone and a mood, right? And so you can. Those are just practice little pieces right there, but those are things that that get you out there, and kind of you can actually tell people, hey, look, check this out. This is something I worked on or whatever. There's also if you have a blog, you obviously could use a blog and post your work. There's obviously YouTube. There's Facebook. And sometimes if you try to put a YouTube video on Facebook, it just launches you to YouTube, which kind of sucks. It's better to just watch it right there if you're on Facebook. What other things am I thinking? Some things like that. Some people, another thing you could do, I think that would be really cool. There are people who, to get an audience, if they're trying to build a fan base or whatever, they can also, like I said, do a podcast or a YouTube thing where they're talking about different various topics. Things that you're learning, things that you think people need to know, or the hard lessons that you're learning. That alone can actually gather, get you a fan base, and you're not even talking about your music yet. So that's something I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think one easy thing is people sort of like a series, like something repeating. And now that everyone has a full television channel in their pockets, you can just pick anything, and it doesn't need to be. So one thing that we sort of struggle with, we talk about in my band, is just trying to be on the right side of sort of beauty versus gimmicks, because the internet loves gimmicks. First thing coming up in my feed the other day was, this man built a organ that plays only Furbies. And of course I clicked on that. You know what I didn't click on? A million beautiful music videos that I wish I did. And it's hard getting out content that doesn't have an easy tell, that the thing doesn't tell you your role in the article just from the headline. And so what we're doing, and I have no idea if this is going to work or not, is just trying to be a little more fun, a little more playful on our Instagram. Let that be a bit gimmicky on the right side of whatever you feel is still you. And then on the other side, make sure that your art is sacred. And that's how we've sort of been able to bridge the gap between feeling like we're sometimes we put like all of this work into this one thing and we think it's so beautiful and whatever, but it has like a 45-second intro because that's what we wanted, and then it just gets, the Furby guy definitely wins there. So, yeah, that's one thing you can do is just like pick something that is an extension of your sort of the emotions of your day as a musician that is, probably struggling to make money. I think we all are, and just like, I think people identify with that, and maybe it gets a bit like everyone has their own reality show, and I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I'm kind of figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, can you imagine having a reality show for your band? I feel like nobody would buy our music.
Just us on our phones for like hours, not talking to one another.
Going out for breakfast, just on your phones.
Again, not talking.
Yeah. Awesome. That's actually super helpful. Actually, like in regards to the whole YouTube and Facebook thing, I don't know if you all know this, but Facebook doesn't like to redirect people to YouTube because they're competing companies. So if you post a YouTube video on Facebook, it's really unlikely that it's going to get a ton of engagement just because of the algorithms and stuff. So Facebook would rather you upload directly to the Facebook platform. Do you guys have, what do you do as artists in that situation?
I actually just got really involved in all this 2 weeks ago, so I have a lot to say about it.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I didn't know enough about social media. I didn't want to. I wanted to just make music. But I was like, okay, this is clearly, we weren't going to tour for a good 7 months. So we were like, okay, this is the new touring. How do you get your music into anyone's ears if you're not doing this digitally? And so, unfortunately, 2 weekends ago, Facebook rolled out algorithmic, what's the right word? Demoting algorithmically any publisher. So that's all bands. It's too bad they're treating bands just like they would I don't know, Dove soap or something. So that was really rough for us because we were, that Monday after they did that over the weekend, we were releasing a music video, and I definitely noticed it. So they're promoting anything that is more personal and anything that has if you, I heard that if you say something about engagement and then get all your friends to post congratulations, that'll be at the top of everyone's feed. But so I Skyped with a Winnipegger, Sean, who now works for the National actually and does all of their social media, and he told me all of these different things to avoid. You shouldn't in an organic post ever say to like or share or tag because it'll algorithmically put that down as well. And you can Google lists of words that people hypothetically think do that. Facebook won't comment on it. And so there's all these little things, and it seems like a total crapshoot, but I started to learn a little bit about it, and right now is probably the worst time as far as social media and being a publisher of any sort.
Yeah, sure. Just here, we can, if anyone is, we're doing great for time, so we can take questions in the middle of all of this.
It's not
just
a long question.
Yeah, but
Okay. Oh, okay. Can you share these do's and don'ts? Do you have a list?
Yeah, well, I have an email to the rest of my band, so I could make a blog post or something. Yeah.
Facebook is such a...
Oh man.
With all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's changed since I, checked last week.
yeah, it's always changing.
I don't know if this is new. It was to me. So, Instagram has the exact same issue with tags, is that if you have a batch of tags you use all the time, or there's certain tags that are being shadow banned, they'll actually shadow ban you. They won't tell you anything, but you'll have 10 likes on a post when you had 300 the day before.
Right.
So something else to watch out for. Look that up too.
It's a mystery.
Just repeat after me if you want. But when you say publisher, you mean professional publisher? A publishing business? No, they call anybody that has a page, in quotes, page on Facebook, they call that a publisher, I believe. So someone that is publishing content that isn't purely off a personal profile. So they changed it so that the personal profile is prioritized because in their feedback they were getting that people were feeling frustrated with ads and with everything, which makes sense. I mean, like, we probably all are, but I wish that they would treat like a band and all the various different publishers slightly differently. Like, and maybe they are, but I mean, it's not. I'm not happy to be in like the same category as like MasterCard commercials or whatever.
Yeah, that's, and then another comment about that too, because they don't want to direct people to YouTube, so you're not going to get views there. They want you to upload the video content directly to the Facebook platform, but unlike YouTube, you can't monetize that. So they want all the attention, but they're not giving artists any money from that.
And then you have to pay significant amount of money to have that video, if you're a publisher, be propagated too. So
one thing you can do, one of the things I always talk about, because I've been doing social media for a long time, if you can, you make a site. If you can make a site, it's you can make that your hub, and then you can direct everything from that, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or whatever else. I mean, obviously, the way one of the ways to go about it is just link to your site or to your YouTube video. Still, I know it's kind of a weird thing to say, but it's something that I think is still gonna, people will still do it, I think. But, I think as far as like hosting on your page on Facebook and everything and being demoted, like as you guys are being, that's happening here right now, you want to be in many places, in as many places as you can be, that where you can actually comfortably manage. You don't want to be in a spot, like if you don't use Twitter ever, kind of makes no sense to kind of use it when, especially right now in Winnipeg, like Twitter isn't a big Winnipeg isn't big in Winnipeg, but Instagram is, so you can use that as a platform as well, something like that. But definitely the more places you're in, some people are Instagram only. Some people are. I like to equate it like cities, like Winnipeg is Twitter and Toronto is Facebook, and so some people never go to Toronto, so you got to look at it that way. So you have to manage with what you're able to manage with, because it's not easy to manage social media. So you have to pick and choose and kind of say, what am I going to target and how am I going to focus and what am I going to focus on, So.
Have you had any experience with this?
Well, I'm getting paranoid now. Do you know if do you think Facebook knows if you upload it onto YouTube as well? Is there any algorithms kind of?
I mean, are we Facebook Live right now? They probably can hear us. They probably
Yeah.
demoted this.
Demotion. That's one of those.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
Banned.
But you don't. I don't know. I was just wondering if you've heard anything.
No,
about that.
I don't know. It is like talking to somebody that actually does digital marketing for a living. It is insane how much you can be tracked. Like, you can set up a pixel on your band account, which is a cookie, which will track. Then you put that code on your website, and that'll track your people that went to royalcanoe.com and then went anywhere. So I could target people for an ad that went to royalcanoe.com and then bought brownies, and be like, okay, so they really can figure out a lot about you.
Another thing I'll say, like with the Winnipeg Film Group, one of the ways we use Facebook is mostly just for events. Like, just put, you can post an event and use that only for events, and maybe not worry about like having your music and stuff on there, and just let people know that you can communicate and catch you there. But I think that's probably a very strategic and smart way to probably manage with Facebook if they're doing that. So I don't know. That's what my thought is.
Yeah, like maybe don't upload a whole music video to Facebook, because
I don't know. Yeah, there's so many different thoughts on it, and I'd say just like keep on top of it. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Does anyone have any, like, before we keep moving on with that, do you have any questions about some of the stuff that we've already talked about? Yeah. Can I get you to?
Well, if you want to repeat it for the cameras, I'm just
Okay.
going off your last comment, Matt. Do you know, either any of the three of you know, are there other people who track this, who are like the people you go to their blog, because they're constantly updating the rest of us about
So his question is, do you know if there's other people that track this? I know that the first thing that I was told is get somebody at a social media company that you that works there, that is your ally, that you can talk to, that they can let you know about what's coming up. Maybe you can be one of a couple people that get to try the new this thing, you know, when they came out with the 360 video or they came out with the whatever, then you can be one of the people that, and if you get verified, that you get even more perks and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure there is. I don't think that there's a definitive blog. Maybe there is, and I just haven't looked into it. There is. Okay.
There's a Reddit subgroup, I guess, called Algorithms of Social Media, and there's people that work with the companies that update them regularly. So even like YouTube currently just changed all their algorithms, like to demote any possibly sensitive material, like even if you're swearing or any nudity. So even music videos.
So YouTube is. I should get you to talk into here because it's demoting. Here, I'm going to get you to repeat that because that's good information.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a lot of, I can scooch, a lot of sensitivity currently of like monetization of any video content, because there was the problem when some content was monetized and advertisers were on content that was, you know, maybe related to terrorists or other bad things. So there has been a huge algorithm across YouTube and other social media platforms to basically avoid anything like this happening in the future. But it also, it's like an algorithm gone too far, putting too much trust into algorithms, and then they end up hurting artists that are just trying to put out content. So I guess the basic point is there's a good Reddit subgroup that's constantly updating it and letting people know what your best strategies are for this week, because they'll probably be different the week after. The Algorithms of Social Media subgroup. I'll send it to you. Or maybe I'll send it to you.
Cool, that's great to know.
We'll get all these links from everybody and maybe compile something we can put up in Manitoba Music with all these helpful hints that everyone's talking about. Okay, so on that topic, with algorithms and all of that, and just the fact that, you know, just because you have like 3,000 Facebook followers doesn't mean your post is actually going to reach that many people. Do you have any tips for promoting videos and encouraging views?
I think trying to engage with your audience, maybe just trying to get them to talk about it, trying to get them to comment on it. Hopefully they share the same interests as your band and might talk about that. So maybe, I'm trying to think of an example, maybe your video has donuts in it. So you say like, what's your favorite donut? And then all these people comment on it, and then they'll send it to their friend. I don't know, that's a bad example, but.
No, it's a great example, that makes sense.
We just tried that when we released a video on Valentine's Day. So we made everything about Valentine's Day for the first day. It was kind of an anti-Valentine's Day video, and tried to capitalize on that how we could. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is harder than, like, as we just spoke about all that, making it so hard, but it's really, like everyone always says, if it's engaging and people see it, they'll share it, and it's just, I mean, that's not always the case. Sometimes some really beautiful stuff goes unnoticed, but I don't think there's any special sort of trick to that.
Do you take, like, what about ads? Do you use any of the, any Facebook advertising or Instagram advertising to get people to go and watch your video so you can get your views up?
Yeah, we well, at the film group we don't do music, but when we always promote our events or workshops or anything that we're doing, we do use the Facebook ads. We noticed that we do definitely get a lot more engagement when we do, and like it's like 7 days, you can put like $7 down and it'll put it out there, and people will, like, you know, start linking in and opting into it. So it has been very helpful and useful for us. So you know, as an individual, if you're interested in doing something like that, you definitely can, and it'll be beneficial and helpful. You know, it's just a matter of just making a post. You don't even have to say like or share or anything like that. You just put it up there, you know, and that's all. Yeah,
we do use ads quite a bit. what I do is I do an organic post, which is a non-paid post, and then you can cross that way. You'll get a lot more views because you're paying for them, and then you can also, on top of that, sorry, this is becoming so much about social media, not about video, but
I mean,
it is how you get a video
views
there.
are huge, right?
Yeah, so then you can also, on the ad side, you can take out different ads, and like I was kind of just wanted to take the piss out of it because it was really bothering me. So I made a video or a caption that said, "These crazy Canadians made a video. They wanted to be watched and enjoyed. Can you believe what happens next?" And that ad did better than all the other ads. It's like still going. The headline was just clickbait in all capitals. And seriously, it's like got more click-throughs than all the other ads I did. So I stand defeated.
You know, and a tagline sometimes can really make a difference. Like you know, sometimes we have these meetings, like a production center meeting for us, and I'll say, "Come to our Freedom Caucus," and it's like Freedom Caucus, and everybody knows it's like deals with the Republicans, crazy stuff, and like why would you put that up there? But it generates interest, and people actually go and check it out. That's one thing. One thing on top of the ads, if you're posting as your group as a page, what you could do is what I tend to do a lot because I have a pretty big following on Facebook. What I do is I post on my page. I share it on my page, and then what I do is I tag a whole bunch of people who would be interested in the topic, and so I never make anything sound like markety or kind of like use any kind of weird jargon. I kind of just make it feel natural, especially if I'm posting on my own personal profile. I make it very natural sounding. And hey, we're gonna be on CJOB like the other day. We're gonna be on COGOB, me and so and so. Come check us out like that. It's real simple. Nothing major. Nothing crazy. Nothing like whatever. You know. So.
See, I hate when people tag me on.
Have you ever been in one of those things where?
We'll stop tagging you.
Let me say one more thing about that. The other thing I'll say about that is I don't post very many times a day. Like I post maybe once or maybe two or three times a week at most. And even if I don't do that, like, so when I share with people know, like, I'm not going to be like overwhelming them. So, and I target specific people. If I know somebody like you know, like you've told me like, hey, don't tag me anymore. I won't do that anymore. So I'll just make sure I don't do that. And some people will be kind enough to say that. But the thing is, it's like the people who you know are going to be interested, you just tag them on it, you know? So, you know.
Worth a shot, maybe? Maybe.
One thing I don't know if it's on the list yet, and sorry if I'm skipping ahead, but publicists are a huge part of releasing a video as a band. And every time that we've released a video, we've hired a publicist. And the publicists are the people that, it used to be a bigger thing to get a premiere. So premiere is exclusively that your video is up on a site for a little while. Normally, it used to be like a day, now it's like an hour or something. And, you know, everyone wants their video to premiere on Pitchfork or something like that. And then, so a publicist has always been the way that I've gone about even starting to do that. They tend to be the people that those sorts of blogs communicate with and have a relationship with. And it's the rarity that your single email to their giant pile of like 70 emails a minute or whatever it is they get actually gets through. So that's another thing. If you're talking just music videos, that I definitely would recommend. And there's a lot of there's some like up and coming publicists that you can get to, or even like somebody that is just a friend that wants to take on this role for a while and make like a really great email signature for but like yeah, definitely in Canada, Killbeat is really great to work with, and they're getting quite big now, but back in the day they were like easy to get on, or not easy to get on with, but they were like achievable. And you could, I don't know, Indoor Recess is another one.
Use Fritz?
No, I've never used Fritz. Fritz. Use Fritz.
Yeah, use Fritz. That's great.
But so I'm not actually I don't know very many companies, but just something to think about is the publicist.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of publicists that are just starting out that want to get their hand in something. But you also want to make sure that they believe in your project because they're the ones selling it to the media. Yeah, that's actually a great tip. Yes. Okay, the question is, if you didn't want to go the publicist route, could you do something like Submit Hub yourself?
I don't know what that is, so anyone else know? What is Submit Hub?
Okay, so
that's cool.
I'll repeat that for anyone who's tuning in with streaming. Submit Hub is a place where you can upload your stuff, and then you can select bloggers or like different media outlets, and you can go by genre and interests maybe, and yeah, sort of filter it through. And yeah, so user friendly, and you can either use it for free or you can pay to get responses, like yeses or nos. Is that kind of how it works? They actually give you feedback if you pay. Okay. So that's called Submit Hub, and I don't have experience using it, and no. So that's just a neat. I mean, I'll try it. Why not? Why? There's another thing you can try.
So another thing, like I said, there are people who have podcasts and other channels and stuff. If you like somebody, it's maybe like somebody who actually is in that talks about music. Reach out to them. Maybe they'll play your music on their or talk about you. I would reach out to a lot of people who have channels and share your music and see what they think, and maybe they'll talk about you, or maybe they'll promote your music, help you to promote your music. And I think that's a very, very effective way to actually get yourself out there, and because they have audiences and they'll talk about it. And also another thing, if you were to do your own channel, whether it's a weekly thing, a monthly thing, or whatever, if you talk about other people who are doing something in the same vein, they are more likely to want to be like, oh yeah, well, talk about you too, or something like that. So we used to do that all the time when I used to podcast, and that's how a lot of people got to know about you or somebody else, So
Yeah, that whole cross promotion thing. I know there's a couple of people in here that have YouTube channels where they promote other music. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but did you say you did do that as well? You do that as well. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there are a couple of people who are doing that already, and I know I'm totally putting you on the spot, but with you do promote, you take other people's music and you actually put that on your channel, and you have like over 3,000 subscribers. Yeah. So there are people like that out there that are playing other people's music, and like that's 3,000 people that maybe would have never heard it. So, or you're seeing your videos or whatever. Okay. So I want to keep going on with the video route as well, because now we really are just talking about social media, but that's what videos are. Videos are total like social media fan engagement. But we've kind of talked about like, there's lyric videos, or there's maybe like tour videos, or just like silly Instagram clips, or there's like the official music video. From your experience, what do you find that fans engage the most with?
I've had pretty good experience with live footage, like hiring a good team to film a really good live show. If you have a show coming up that has really good lighting, lots of it, like wait till you get a venue that has great lighting, because that comes across so much on a video. If it's just blank white lights, it's just not going to look as exciting as if, at the Pyramid or something that has a proper light setup. And make sure you got people doing the proper audio. Marty, yeah, because you need to sound good too. Live videos are another way to get your name out there.
Yeah.
For me, I think that we've had the most engagement from like sort of a classic music video, like for a single. That isn't, with the way that things are going, that I don't think that holds as much clout as it once did. And so our music videos from earlier in our career were probably more impactful than they are now. So I'm not sure exactly, like I said earlier about that thing between like balancing your art and the gimmicks of like just Instagram stories and whatever. I think that trying to figure out that balance is probably the best for figuring out how to engage with your fans on a daily basis with, not always having completely professional content. But yeah, for us, it's always been sort of classic music videos.
Do you have like any comment on that?
As far as
you don't have to have a comment.
no, I don't.
I got another one. Another one is, I know, filming covers. Lots of bands have been filming covers, and lots of people. If it's a popular song, hopefully maybe you'll have some legs, and people will share it because they like that song.
Or they'll share it because it's awful, and they're like, "Look at this terrible cover."
Either way.
One thing I will say. When I was doing, when I was on tour with Michael Play's opening act, Naturally Seven, when we were capturing video footage of them, backstage stuff, the thing like all the interviews and things we would do throughout the day or whatever, people really liked that. They like to see like for example, one day we had like 2 major news channels interview us when we were in Florida, and we went to a school with kids, and then we went to the sound check, and then the stage. I mean, when you put all that together and show the time and stuff like that, and like people really like, wow, that's a day, huh? It's kind of cool, and like I think people really like to see that kind of thing, especially when you get backstage and you talk to them and you have some of that off the record, or kind of like this is kind of what it looks like and feels like. People like that kind of thing. So when you bring yourself to the table, when you bring your personal vibe to the table, like just what's going on and like if you're on tour, or even if you're just shooting a music video, people love seeing that stuff. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I was just thinking, like, if you're already putting the work into like filming a music video, and there's a bunch of cameras there, you might as well shoot some behind the scenes footage and put it together. I like my old band, we once did this like performance thing, and the guy made up a blooper reel after because we were so ridiculous, and that got more views than the actual song that we did. So that's actually, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's kind of 2 separate questions, but one for Andrew is My Body is a Cage. I was wondering who shot that.
Yours truly right here. And then
Can we repeat all that for the people who are in the internet world?
Yeah, my band Attica Riots. We recorded a cover of "My Body Is a Cage" by Attica Riots, and it was just filmed in a friend's living room. I think we put some lamps up, we put some lights up around the room, and it was kind of a cool looking room. He had lots of like vinyls, and he had this cool piano that was actually a piece of art. And we mic'd it up. We had some nice mics everywhere, and we just did an acoustic version of the song. And it was very simple, didn't take very long. We did about 4 takes, and we just picked one. Yeah.
That's cool too. So an acoustic version of, it's like a cover of your.
Yeah. So when we do covers, we usually like to make them different. We don't want to do the same version that the band's already done. So with that, it was just acoustic, stripped down in a living room.
Sorry, what was his name?
Very cool.
Marty.
Just Marty. Just Marty.
Just Google Marty.
Let's keep on shortening it. Just Mark.
The mystery man behind the streaming. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The button fumbler set. We got Mike Marinuk to do that. He's incredible. He's done 3 videos with us, and he's got a really great imagination and super into like the gritty DIY kind of film stuff. He had all of these I don't know what it's called, I think closed circuit like cameras that had cords coming out of them to these projectors that he would project of us on the on these weird glass pyramids, and then that got filmed and it's part of the music video, but it was not part of the music video in any other way. Like, we didn't use that footage except for it being projected and stuff. So he's if you can work with Mike Marinuk, it's a great guy to contact.
Sweet. Does anyone else have some questions like that? Sounds like someone did their research over there. Sure, absolutely. Keep them coming.
I just was curious about the lyric videos for No Mistake and Give It To Me, just what program you use for that.
Yeah, Give It To Me. That video, there's I do lyric videos for my band Attica Riots. We have the song Give It To Me, and it's just a simple loop of this person walking with all these kind of geometric shapes going on in the background. And I actually came across that little loop on Instagram, and it was done by another Winnipeg artist named Matea Reddick, and she did lots of local art around the city. And I just messaged her and asked, do you mind if I use this one little like 5-second loop? And she was totally fine with it. I gave her a little bit of money, but it was nothing crazy. And then I just played with it. Like there's all these filters and the lyrics are going over it, and it gets psychedelic, and all the geometric shapes kind of move around. So I think the video cost $50. And
What program do you use?
oh yeah, what program? That was the actual question. That was all done on Final Cut, and I don't know what Matea Reddick used to do the original loop, but I use Final Cut. Yeah.
That was kind of along that question too. Do you have go-to sites that you go to for content?
He's asking if there's go-to sites for content that they go to.
No, I just stumble upon them, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, and lots of times I look up other Winnipeg artists just because I think it's cool to use if I'm going to use something, if I'm using another local artist. And then I think you probably have a better chance of them getting back to you and, them wanting to help you out and them giving you a decent price. And what was the other lyric video you asked about? Was it No Mistake?
Yeah, No Mistake. Yeah, No Mistake.
So I did a lyric video for No Mistake. It's another Attica Riot song. And it's these two dogs barking hearts at one another. And the image is actually from Food Fair on Maryland. There's the Gabrielle Funk did a mural there. So I took a picture of that. First I got her permission that I was able to use your image for the lyric video. So I took a photo of it, and then I kind of drew the dogs out to simplify them. And then I threw it on Adobe Illustrator and just kind of traced it and converted it into a vector file so it has unlimited resolution, so you can play around with it a little more. And then I just animated the hearts coming out of their mouths because the hearts were in the image on the mural, and I thought that was just great imagery for the song. Seemed to fit the song. Yeah.
That's very cool. Thank you for asking those questions. Do you have something?
I guess some things you touched on there is like using YouTube tutorials is like the way I've learned everything that I've ever
Same
needed
here.
to do. Like, I didn't go to school for graphic design, didn't go to school for film editing, yet I do most of the graphic design. I did graphic design professionally for a while, like, as in people paid me and I paid my rent with it. Not that I went to school for it, but like, it's all there. It's just the time. That's all you need, is to just go there and try it out. And I mean, I've kind of, it is a lot of time, so I've kind of kept myself novice at a lot of the things, but like, I don't know if anyone disagrees, but could you learn like pretty much anything that way?
Well, I don't know if you can learn everything to people that have gone to film school and everything, but that's what I've used for an education for these programs. It's YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, I agree. I did go to school for graphic design, actually, but I didn't go to school for doing video. But I learned on, just by being out there and doing my own thing and working with people over the years. So, yeah, I mean, YouTube is a really good source. I mean, if you're trying to, there's a site called lynda.com if you're trying to get into like graphics and video and film and things like that. I use that. It's a subscription-based thing, but you can get everything from start to finish on a particular topic, whether it's Final Cut or After Effects or Premiere or whatever it is. I've used that and still use it, and I've been editing for about 18 years now. So,
What is that program again? Or
which
the
one?
website that you were just talking
Oh,
about?
Lynda, LYNDA.com. That's a very good site, and I think it's like, I don't know, $20 or $30 or $40 a month. I can't remember, something like that.
Are there any other questions?
Both you guys have I guess how you created that illusion, like with the no hands video, with the keys being down every once in a while, and then with the somersault video of you guys on the side, you know, when it goes black. I was just kind of curious how you both created that illusion in both those.
For us, that was hours and hours and hours of this guy Nathan Bowie scrubbing individual frames of that video.
And what was that video? Just
it was called Somersault. For our song that called that.
Yeah, I did a video for Attica Riots, and it was stop animating. The main riff is a piano riff, so and the song's called No Hands, and so I stop animated the keys playing the song, and I actually taped down the keys one at a time, and stop motioned it. It was a little tricky. Like I had to fix lots of the timing after the fact on Final Cut because I couldn't get the timing right, but I could get the actual chords right. Yeah, so it was pretty time consuming, but yeah. Yeah, so it's in this, if one part's rushing, I just slow it down, and there's a lot of chopping, but it's actually on a physical piano with lots of tape.
Going back to the vividness from that animation on how do you find local artists? Or what would you Google to find local artists?
The question is, how do you find local artists for these sorts of images and content?
For that, I found it on Instagram. So, actually, I think my wife showed me it. She was just a fan of the artist. But I'm sure you could like hashtags, like searching Winnipeg artists, just Winnipeg street art, stuff like that.
Also, I forgot to mention this before. We do offer training at the film group. So basically, anything from After Effects to Final Cut. Or Premiere even, we offer those workshops, and also we have a list of on the wall outside of our office. We have a list of different people who have different skill sets, whether it's production artists or whatever. You can come there and kind of look at the list, or you could just come down to the office and talk to us, and we can kind of give you some guidance on maybe connecting you. Because I'm a person. If somebody says, "Hey, I need somebody who can do this," now I don't know everybody and everything, but I'm pretty good and pretty fast when somebody says, "I need somebody to help me with this kind of thing." I usually right then on the spot will Facebook together, you both together, and say, "Hey, can you guys work together?" You know, something like that. And so that's a start there too. So something to think about.
One more comment on that. They have a company I would look up on Instagram and just in real life is Synonym, which is a collective of, I don't know if it's a collective of artists, but it's a company that showcases artists and brands artists underneath their company. And there's also the First Fridays in the Exchange, where there are tons of openings on the first Friday of every month. And if you participate in that, there's a Synonym party at the Tallest Poppy 4 times a year, and that tends to be where a lot of the artists end up at the end of the night after First Friday. So it's a good place to start for local Winnipeg artists. Yes,
that's Synonym Art Consultation, and Chloe's actually done a bunch of stuff here at Manitoba Music, so we're very accessible, and she's really happy to help musicians. I was going to say that same thing, but also it's really, I think, a matter of networking and just kind of searching on your own and finding those artists that you like, asking these questions is really great. My comment on that too is one of the things that my band does, or me personally, is we have this thing called Slack, and it's like a chat channel, and you can make different threads, because like chats or group chats or your own like files can get really messy with lots of info that isn't needed, talking about like how drunk you were the night before. But what we do is there's different threads, so anytime we have ideas, so you could have you can have it just for yourself too, like if you're a solo artist, you can use it to organize your thoughts, but to have like a thread that's just like artists I like, and then every time you go on Instagram and you see something that you like, just because you can forget so easily, you can just, like my band, we all just will like plug something into that one thing. Anytime you have an idea, anytime you see anything, whether it's like, a video you like even. Oh. I'm sitting on my phone because there's no way to where to put it, and he calls me Your Majesty. Anyways, he just said, sorry, Your Majesty. Anyway. The only reason I have it is because I need to check the time. I'm not texting. But yeah, so like just kind of creating like files, like a system for yourself to save the artists that you like or to save the videos that you like or whatever, so that when you're ready to do something on your own, you can come back to all of those things. And I think that's like just a really good way to organize your thoughts and to find people.
I want to ask about the audio side of video. And so when you're uploading stuff or whatever, how do you get, or have you run into problems with different platforms wanting different kinds of levels of compression and things like that? Can you just speak about the challenges of audio when you're trying to put stuff out there?
I wish I knew more about it than I do. I know that when we work with music video companies, they optimize it for us. So there are directors there like, well, you can have the YouTube version and use this for Facebook, but I actually don't know the specifics of it. And I know like a couple things, but it wouldn't even be worth me saying it because I'm not sure enough on them.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics either, but the program I use is a free program for compressing different files, and it's called MPEG Streamclip, and that's very handy. You can download it for free, and that's just good for compressing. Like if you want to, like I always compress stuff to MP4 for YouTube, so it's just an easy way and a free way to compress it. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, at the Art Space building, there's a full-on sound studio, 5.1 surround sound. It's a booth that we have at Video Pool. And I don't know if you guys know Andy Rudolph, but he's like our expert audio guy here. And really also just having a membership at Video Pool, you have access to like him, also the booth. And I think, it's a tool that you guys could use because they do support people who are in film and music. So that's something that might be worth looking into. I don't know, it's a thought.
Do you mind repeating his name?
Andy Rudolph. He's a local musician as well. Some of you probably know him.
We have about 10 minutes left, so are there any questions on things that I haven't touched on yet? Okay. That's a good question. So the question is, how do you go?
It depends on how much you want to base it on art or I guess or stardom. Yeah. So if you are someone that has a chance at radio, then you're probably going to want your first video to be for your first single that you're probably going to be trying to pitch to radio. Even if it doesn't have a chance at radio, the way that things can blow up on Spotify and stuff, you probably want your first video to be for the song that you are pushing. Because these days, it's a song more than anything else. Like if the album doesn't have that one song, unfortunately, most of the time, it doesn't get the same traction as the album that does have that one song. And so I've unfortunately mostly picked it based on that. And sometimes, like right now, that when I was sketching that thing the other day that I got so excited about it, I don't know if that song is going to get a music video, but it should because it would be awesome. But that if I was only thinking purely about it as just an art project, then that's how I'd pick it. But so it's kind of up to you, but most people pick the song that's the single and do the music video for that.
I guess when you're saying pick a single, is that something that as a band you decided, or are you also handing out to friends and people in the industry? Like, how do you decide what is that song? What is that song?
I guess it depends. How many people have opinions on that would depend on how many people you work with. So at a higher level, even higher than us, there would be the label would care about that, and the manager would care about that, and all that kind of stuff. At our level, there's a couple people that influence us that have opinions, but they never. We still have the last word on all of that. And so I guess for the most part, it's always just been my band being like, I think this one has the most legs.
That was on which song to pick. You had a question?
Just in terms of music video concepts, like coming up with the ideas, do you typically wait for that to come from within the band, or do you have like directors or videographers that ever approach you with ideas, or how do you go about picking what the video is actually going to be?
The question is, when it comes to concept, is that like an artist thing, or is that like a director thing, and you let the director kind of run away with it?
In my experience, it's been both. It's for instance, our video for bathtubs, that came from a director, and we tweaked it together with him and drew it out and then filmed it. And whereas that other video for Walk Out on the Water, that was all from the band, and we pitched it to a director. So it can go either way. For this next album we're doing, I'm hoping to see if I can get, because there are a lot of directors out there that want to get often you get a music video grant if you're lucky enough to live in Canada, and people seek after that. So I think that if you can get the word out to some directors, then you'll probably get some pitches in, and then you can see if you like any of them, or if they spark something like, oh, this would be perfect, but only if we did it this way.
Lev Snow is a musician here. He's kind of like a nephew. He basically he had a vision for his film. He's not for his some of his videos, and he's not a director or anything. He's a musician, but he has a vision, and then like having a really good cinematographer can really, really help, and realizing something like that. So he can speak his vision, but a lot of times the cinematographer can sometimes act as a director because they know a little bit more about filmmaking. If you can't afford a director, then a cinematographer, a really good one, can actually have a good, can really help with realizing that vision. So.
You have a question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my band, we used an old movie called, I'm trying to think of the movie, Death Rides a Horse, for a remix of this song that had kind of this Quentin Tarantino kind of country flair to it. And I searched, what did I search? Royalty-free movies, and that came up on a list of like old westerns, and that's the one I used, and I researched the copyright a little bit. And it seemed like it was so there was some confusion going on with it, so I went and used it. I don't know if that's the best idea. It hasn't got taken down, but I just went ahead and used it, and we'll see if it stays up or not. It hasn't been taken down yet.
Yeah, it is something to worry about for sure. Like I've had on the music side, but I like in a film, for instance, I was scoring, and there's a bar scene, and there was jazz in the bar scene. And so I played one of the jazz standards I know, and I was stupid enough to label it Autumn Leaves, which I thought was old enough to be royalty free, and I did like a quick Google search, and it said it, but it's totally not. It cost me $2,000, and so got to be careful with that stuff.
I'll be taking down that music video when I get home. Yeah. I don't know. You might know more. Like, were you making money off this?
Yeah.
Video?
This was the film that I did with Tyson. So it was like E1. It was like a real thing, and that I wasn't used to things at that level. Yeah. So I was just functioning on my normal it'll work out kind of thing, which it probably will most of the time. But it depending the more I guess people there are that are checking that kind of stuff, the more risky it is.
Yeah, I think it's best maybe to just use your own content. I've heard of other stories like there's an artist in Calgary who had like this like Grizzlies themed shirt that was selling, and anyways, the NBA like literally contacted him and was like, you can't use this. So he didn't get charged or anything, because it would be like a dick move for the NBA to be like, to like fine him. They just said that he can't sell them anymore. So I don't know, like you could risk it, but I think nowadays it's pretty tough to get away with taking other people's material. Okay, I have another question here.
To kind of steer you to back to like the online social media posting, more so on promoting. When you want to say put ad money, whether it's Google AdSense or Facebook ads, do you guys have any experience using any of the, I guess we call third-party company websites that say, come see us before you do it? Do you have any experience in that, and was it overall worth it?
Okay, so the question is like beyond Google Ads, there are third parties that say to use them before going right through the platform. And do you have experience?
I do not.
I do not.
Oh.
No, I don't. My manager.
Good thing I repeated the question. Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, that's a good question, but maybe we'll have to like get some expert in advertising in some time for a little advertising workshop. So we have time for one more question. Whoever put the okay.
Is there still do people still have much music in their homes or MTV Canada? Or is there still like a video platform channel that exists?
Are there still video
I don't think
channels
so.
that
I mean,
exist?
I don't have cable. Does anyone have cable?
I don't either.
I don't have to.
I don't think it exists.
If it does
expensive.
exist, no one's watching it.
I have cable, and much music is just like Simpsons reruns.
Yeah.
It's just YouTube now.
Yeah.
But Danny Elfman is on The Simpsons.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, the platforms for music videos are not the same as they used to be 10 to 20 years ago, unfortunately. Okay, I lied. We have time for one more. Okay.
I was just curious, with somersault and bathtubs, they're kind of, they're similar a little bit. It's kind of like an okay going thing. I'm wondering if there was a conversation in the band of possibly just sticking to that route instead of doing some of the other videos that you guys have had. So there's something that's, because okay go, for instance, is known for those kinds
Yeah.
of videos,
I think we were going for a bit of an aesthetic at that time that felt like was an extension of our music that was kind of like quirky or whatever, and we're just like felt like the bright colors and the sort of like dreamlike reality fit. Also, the concept for bathtubs was pitched to us by that director, and then so the fact that had gone well for us probably influenced doing something somewhat similar on Somersault with the same director. So yeah, I think that it was just sort of trying to have an extension of the visuals, be an extension of our music, and yeah.
Why not continue with like those ones specifically? I guess maybe the new videos.
Oh, well, specifically, I think it was because we wanted to do another video with that director, and he had that aesthetic. So we just kind of did, we just went with what was sort of his strength.
All right, so our time is up. I'm going to be asking these guys for a lot of the links that we talked about and a lot of the information that was talked about here, and we'll put something up on Manitoba Music hopefully within the next few weeks. And then for all of you, I'll get a sheet out there so you can write down your email address if you would like to know when this meet and greet thing is happening with Winnipeg Film Group. Sure, yeah.
Just one more quick thing. Also, we've been wanting to do a repository of music for filmmakers or musicians that are here. So if you have music that is even just discarded, or music you're not really going to use or even think about, because soundscapes are super, super important. So if you have anything that you just don't, are throwaways or whatever, I'm sure some filmmaker's going to want it. So, just putting that out there.
Perfect, and he'll have a card with him as well. And anyone online, you can email info@manitobamusic.com if you would like to know about the meet and greet, and if you'd like to know when all of these links are posted on our site. So thank you for all of you in attendance and your amazing questions. I really appreciate it. And huge thanks to Ben from Winnipeg Film Group, Matt Schellenberg from Royal Canoe, and Anders Erickson from Attica Riots. Give them a hand. And thank you to everybody tuning in on Manitoba Music on Facebook. That was the DIY series on creative video content. I have a survey outside the door there. If you could all take one and fill it out, let us know if it was awesome, let us know if we could do better, and let us know about anything else you want to know in future workshops. That would be fabulous. Thank you.